Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club from the Tom Numbers Show, News with Tom Numbers, and Top of Your Game. And I got my fellow friend that's always at the top of his game, and you're looking even more debonair than usual, Mr. Matt Geiger from Midas
Thank
Gold,
you. Thank you.
our official sponsor of the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm good. It's been quite a whirlwind the last few days. Sunday was great, so I had a bit of a family gathering. My birthday's in a couple of days on the 15th of February. Had family down for the weekend, which was great. On Sunday, the sun was out, so it was wonderful. Yesterday was even more glorious sunshine. And today's a bit wetter. So, anyway, we're here. We're here.
I'm going out for Valentine's Day, but my girlfriend, she's got a flu. So I'm taking my buddy Josh for Valentine's Day. My buddy Josh, because I can't give up the reservation. I get charged like $200. So I was like,
Well, there you go.
come with me. So we're gonna go hit I like going there. It's a little pricey, but Capitol Grill out here. If you've ever been to Capitol Grill, it's phenomenal. It's my favorite restaurant.
Okay. I don't know if I know that one. Sounds good though.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Well, you get all nice steaks and all the
Nice
meats.
steak. Usually, what's cool about steakhouse, they also have good seafood. Usually, they'll usually have like
I
very
could
fresh.
say just you surf and turf, yeah.
Yeah, so do like a mix of both or something. Capitol Grill, they just knock it out of the park. So I love going there when I can.
Yeah. We got some good seafood ones down here. I went to one bit a ways away, but it was Lobster Hut.
I went to your famous.
Noisy Lobster, and that was really nice. Right on the seafront, you get some nice seafood. It's lovely, yeah.
I went to your very famous fish store where you just buy it and take it home. Starts with an F. Trying to think of it.
In London.
In London. Trying to think of the name of it.
F starts with Fortnum and Mason, but I don't think they're a fish specialist. They're just fancy foods, and
it was just like, the quality of the stuff was like, it was like incredible.
Really?
It was caught probably an hour before I got there.
Wow.
It'll come to me.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely hit up that place, man. Oh, that was something else.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Is that
yeah.
in Central London, Mayfair area?
I forget where it was, but
maybe.
it was pretty close to where I was in Notting Hill.
Okay.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like founder, whatever. Doesn't matter. Moving on.
Yeah. Great fish, great steaks, always good. It's always good.
Yeah, oh, it's good, man. I love a good meal. So
what you got for us today, buddy? What's been happening in the markets? People are seeing things, but you've got quite a lot for us today. So
I get a lot of questions, and I always feel like addressing the common questions that I get, because it's like I'm on the front lines. I talk to people, and I see the Great Awakening in people. I talk to people, they love Trump. They have no idea what's going on. They have no clue. They're clueless. They just see it from a very mainstream perspective, and that's fine. I try to introduce them to information. I don't bang them over the head with, "Hey, here's what's coming." But that's what's great about, of course, your viewers is there are people that are already in the know. They know something big is coming. So I want to talk about kind of my predictions. Maybe just people that maybe don't have a budget for gold and silver, right? We got to talk to those people too, right? We can't leave them out of the conversation, right? Things that they can do to prepare financially that I think would give them a step up in, let's say, so-called new world, right? In the new, the new place we're going. But
and people can call in. You could call your number, get a free coin. Matt's been sending out a lot this week, so
people that have called in, I have everything on my desk. It just takes me a couple days to get a bunch of them together. I bring the stuff in, and boom, we get it out to you. It's on me. Happy to do it.
What number should they call on, Matt?
You could do my direct office line, which is 480-725-0536.
Okay. Usually it's on the screen, but I think we've got just
Matt. Yeah, usually I put it up there, but it's all good. You could just call the company and ask for me. I'm the only Matt in the company. But I would say, I think, a lot of people are saying they're talking about a market correction coming this year. I do think that's going to happen. I really do. I think the Federal Reserve's really been what has allowed this whole system to continue, right? People always wonder, like, especially people in my industry, is like, why hasn't the system crashed? And it's really because the Federal Reserve, they're the buyer and lender of last resort. They can print as much money as they want. They have no accountability really to anybody, right? So they can keep the charade going to to as long as they want to a time of their choosing. And that's when this is all going to happen, is it's going to happen at a time of their choosing. I actually had somebody come to me yesterday. So yesterday was it was yesterday. Somebody called me up and they're like, what if they let Trump get into office? Yeah, let him win the election and then crash the economy on him.
Huh.
Right. Then they pull the plug on him, which I think is a very plausible scenario, right? It's like, you can blame him for that. That's going to be the key element, is the whole crashing of markets, economies. That's what's really going to wake people up, right?
Yeah.
As I've said before, it's like no one really complained about Biden, at least in this country. No one really complained about Biden until gas hit, $5, $6, $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
So it's when people get hit in the pocketbook where people start to say, all right, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Right. So I do see.
No, go on, sir.
No, I do see the scenario. I do think the market correction, I think it's going to be a major correction. I don't think the stock market has any business being in the 30,000s. The stock market should be in like in the 10,000 range, 12,000 range.
Yeah.
So I see a massive correction. And I don't say it to scare people. I say it because, these stock prices, they've been hiding the inflation in the stock market.
Yeah.
You're seeing it in other places, right? The last place they want you to see it is in the grocery store, because in the grocery store, the average person, right, somebody who's just getting by, that person sees, $9 Oreos, and right, they start to have a real problem. They don't want to give up their Oreos, right, as Trump would say.
Yeah.
People like their Oreo cookies, but the deep state doesn't want people seeing the inflation, and they've been hiding in the stock market. That's what's inflated the stock market. Now they can't hide it anywhere else. So when you see it in the food price, that's when you know you're close to something. And the Federal Reserve, to get rid of inflation, what they need to do, what the Fed would need to do, is raise interest rates higher than the rate of inflation. But they can't do that, right? Remember Reagan in the 1980s, he brought interest rates up to like 20% or something crazy, right? And that was to curb inflation, right? And people were buying homes in that environment. But at that time, we didn't have the debt level we have today, right?
Mm-hmm.
The servicing on $35 trillion of debt would be, what, 6-7 trillion a year just to keep it afloat, right? If you raise it up 20%. So the Fed is really where we're at now, just so your audience understands, the Fed, who's really running the show, they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They're damned if they raise rates, they're damned if they lower rates. They're probably going to lower rates as we get closer to the election. That's going to make the economy, that's going to cool off the economy temporarily, right? It's going to cool things up. It's like what Biden did with, the gas reserves, right? He opened those up, right? It brought down the price of gas for, 2 weeks, and then we were back up. Now, right, gas prices are low. They're going to start to make things look really good in the economy. Our gas prices here in Phoenix are like $3.24 last time I checked, which is the lowest it's been, since I've gotten here, or close to the. So I think what people need to watch out for is they need to watch out for the charade, right? You're being presented a big charade in an election year. They're going to make things look really good, and then poof, things go terribly, right? Problem, reaction, solution. They're going to create the problem. They're going to get the desired reaction, and then they have the solution ready to go. So I would tell people, if possible, get your money out of the banks, get into something like gold and silver. That's a great way to store your money, right? And I just also want to speak to the people that maybe don't have a budget, right? What can they do? Go to your bank and go take $10 or $5 for a roll of nickels. Nickels, quarters, and dimes are, I think, 92, 93% copper. Right? The change in your piggy bank actually operates in a different monetary system than the bills in your wallet. Your bills are fiat. It's money backed by nothing. At least in the change, right? And that's produced by the Treasury, the change. At least in the change, you have the commodity, right? It used to be silver in our money. Now it's what? Copper.
Yeah.
Right? Pennies nowadays are zinc. I think since 1982, pennies have been made of zinc. Still great, tangible assets.
Yeah.
And I think just the average person, I just want to speak, if you're somebody that has no money to invest, somebody who can't call up Matt Geiger at Midas Gold Group and say, hey, I want to go buy, $50,000 of silver or whatever, go to your bank, go pick up a roll of nickels, quarters, or dimes. Those are all 92, 93% copper. They have intrinsic value. They operate outside of the debt money system. And I think, 25 cents on the other side of this, maybe what a crash does, my theory is maybe what a crash does is it brings down prices so much, and it brings down the cost of everything, that, okay, now you can go to a movie with a nickel, right? Now you can get into the movie theater with a nickel.
Yeah.
So I keep my change jars stacked. Anytime you go to the grocery store, pay in cash, right? Get your change back. I see people at the counter. No, keep the change. Keep it. It's almost like ashamed of it. You know, it's like, that's the real money. That's the stuff you give them the bills back and take the change. You know, so I just wanted to just give your audience, you know, people that maybe don't have a budget, right? I want to speak to those people and just say a way to do things, in my view, would be to get, you know, stock up on your change, even though it's copper or zinc and pennies, right? It's still a tangible asset, still a commodity, and a valuable commodity, because I think back in 2020, the price of copper, raw copper, went up like 400%. That's why during COVID, they had the change shortage. They wanted everybody to turn in their change. They wanted your copper.
Yeah. Some good points there. I hadn't thought about that with the change. I like to not carry change, but now you put an alternate perspective on that, Matt. So maybe, yeah, keep change.
Hey, if you can go by the pub with a, you know, 10-cent beer, believe me, you'll be carrying change.
Yeah, people will. Yeah. It's interesting, that question you said that you got about whether they would crash it on Trump. Now, that's an interesting one. So I was thinking of the same scenario, but what was it? Let me think. It was the same result as that, but it was the other side of it. So what was it? It wasn't crushing on the bite. It was I can't remember. There was another possibility with it. So I guess that comes down to the question is, like, do people believe if Trump is commander-in-chief, if the White Hats are in control, if the military is in control, this whole central casting movie of having the puppet of Biden in control, to blame it on him, that seems the most logical. But I have thought there was another version of that question that you posed, and I'd wondered if it was that. It doesn't seem to make logical sense, because it's like, what, they're going to blame it on Trump? For the optics, for the world, it seems more logical to blame it on Biden. And like I said in the other show the other day, Trump said, well, if Biden gets in, he will crash the stock market, which you reflects. So, well, that will affect the bond markets because that reflects on the stock market, etc. So it's an interesting one of how they're going to do it. I mean, it seems logical to crash it under Biden. But who knows? I mean, there's been so many twists with it. Maybe there's an advantage to show under Trump. I think logically, probably unlikely, but I had looked at that similar counterintuitive question. I can't remember what the exact question was. It was something to do with about Biden, but it was something else with it anyway. But yeah, they're interesting questions, interesting scenarios, and it does make you ask the question, or makes me reflect on the question, who's in charge. And I believe Trump and the team are in charge, and they're allowing these movie psyops, whatever you want to call them, of Biden to do things to cajole and wake people up. And but I do think it's gonna be this year, though. Like we said in the other show, I think it'll be this year. There's some things on Ariel again, that guy on Twitter, who no one knows who he is, but he seems to come up with so much intel, talking about even the possibility of things in March coming down. I don't know if you'd seen anything on that.
Yeah, I've heard stuff in March, April.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, as with all of it.
Like, I don't have any like intel that I can call up, be like, hey, you know, when the market's crashing, like I have no clue. But I think, like, you also have to look at it as like, okay, well, the banks have been getting away with murder based on their banking practices.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about it. Just as an example, you know, here's Citibank, right? Citibank went under in 2008, bailed out to the tune of, like, I don't know, a couple $1 trillion. You know, and then here I am riding the freaking 7 train through Queens 2 years later, and I'm looking to my left, and here they are building a baseball stadium. You know, we just bail these idiots out, trillions of dollars, and they're building a baseball stadium 2 years later. This is the banks for you. Yeah. And no one just looks at it like that. It's not like, didn't we just, like, come together and have to bail you out using our money?
Yeah. And
now they're building a freaking baseball stadium for the New York Mets. Like, this is the madness that we've been living in, that people need to wake up to. And it's like, you need to bring these people to court. You need to I think what needs to happen is people need to experience loss. They need to see their money gone. That way people wake up, right? Feel it in the pocketbook, just like the Gasper, right?
They do. Yeah.
Feel it in the pocketbook. People need to say, hey, like Juan says, near-death experience. Like, hey, we just lost our life savings. Holy shit, right? And then what you do is you bring these banks, these banks are sitting on the central banks and Citibank and all this, they're sitting on gold and silver. They know what's coming. They're not idiots, right? They buy gold and silver. That's why people should be in gold and silver, is because the banks are doing it, right? Then I think what you need to do is you need to take them through court and wake people up through the court process about exposing, okay, here's how these banks have been practicing. Here's the criminality. Here's the way things are supposed to work. And then we all have a voice in how our banking system gets restructured, right? We never had that in 2008. It was just the government, some guys in a smoky room get together, say, print the money, right? Print $10 trillion. We're going to bail out all the banks, right? They give you some stupid, if we didn't bail them out, the banking system would have been over in 24 hours. It's like it's a negotiation tactic. It's just to cut down time for people to have a conversation, right? They never really dealt with the problem. So I think now we're going to deal with the problem. We're going to deal with the problem. We're going to sue these people out of existence. And I do think people will recoup some of their wealth. But I think my theory on it is that the people who've been following the 17th letter of the alphabet, people like you, right? People like yours. I think we're getting the jump in terms of what we need to do with our finances before this stuff happens, right? Trump can't come out and say buy gold, but he can sure as hell dye his hair bright gold with silver linings, right?
Exactly.
So he can communicate like that to you, but he can't say, hey, buy gold. That would ruin the plan.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's it. They've been coming all the time. And there was one that was highlighted. Biden tweeted a picture of him. Apparently, they say other people, I'm sure someone else is running his account, but he came out with all these like red kind of laser eyes. And they were saying it's like military comms for like, well, we're going to hit the red button. It's like, okay, because it needs to come. We know something's coming. We don't know exactly how or what's going to happen. But if you piece some of the pieces together, that you can kind of decipher, it's like, well, something is coming. Something big is coming. And they're even talking things like, another shutdown, lockdown.
Good luck
military,
with that. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I guess it would be different if the military's on the streets. That might be different. That might be different.
That's another theory, is Biden going to be the one to call in the military? Right? Because we've always thought, based on the 17th letter, that we're going to be calling in the military. I don't think that's going to happen quite yet. I think we're going to have to just deal with stuff on our own for a period of time. And then maybe the white hat military will come in and allow us to rebuild with some cohesion without the interference of all these outside dark forces.
Yeah.
Right? It's an interesting thought process. Some of your viewers call in and we just sit there and we just talk about this stuff. It's like, it's kind of fun, Yeah. We'll see what happens though.
There's not much else in town, is there? It's like we know something's going on and we're waiting for it to happen and to be shown and to bring everyone on side, because the good people need to be brought on side. If they haven't woken up for whatever reason, it's still mind-boggling that they haven't, but bit by bit people are. And I even had it the other night with my family. So my brother and his wife and kids and my dad, I've told them about ships. It's a little off court, but things are happening. So my brother's probably the most awake of my family members. He's not fully in coherence with all the stuff I talk about, but he does notice a lot of it, and he sees the synchronicities, he gets them as well. And
right.
I talked to him about ships, and we went out last year or the year before, and we saw shooting stars. He's like, let's go out and see. And I said, yeah, you can go out and look at ships and call them in. And we saw these shooting stars. Anyway, the other night, his wife looks up and she starts seeing these faint objects that look like stars, and they just start moving around slowly, and they're moving direction and stopping and appearing again. I was like, that's it. So him and his family and my dad saw them. It was like, this is great. They probably thought I was nuts a couple of years ago talking about it, but I was like, they've seen them now. So bit by bit, people that are ready are beginning to see things and they're seeing that the reality of this world is not what we've been told. So something is coming. The best is yet to come. Nothing can stop what's coming. I don't know exactly what it is, but I have a sense of what they could be, just like you do in the audience. But something this year, in terms of the money markets, it's got to happen this year. Why would you put the Biden puppet in? They need a fall guy. He's not even the real guy, so they need a fall guy to blame it on. But as with all of this, maybe they've got another plan that will be even better in hindsight, but we don't know what that is. But logically, it seems like, well, Biden or someone in his administration, because they're talking about maybe Camilla taking over now. It's like, do they blame it on her? Do they blame it on Biden? I guess time will, with all of it, will tell. But this is the end zone. This is the last dash to the touchdown, and we're in the end game now. 2020.
They found some criminality on Biden on one issue. I forget what it was, and they said, yeah, he's too mentally incapable to stand trial. Meanwhile, he's president. Like, they're just getting wrapped up in their own narrative. It's I enjoy this stuff. I think you do too. But we're about to hit some serious business where we're probably not going to be laughing about it, but laughing about it right now.
Well, if you look back, I mean, big things happen on leap year. So I think I might have mentioned this before on a show, but 2012, you had all this stuff with the London Olympics, prefacing what was going to happen in 2020. 2016, you had all those celebrity deaths. You had Leicester City, the team in the Premier League here in the soccer in England, winning the Premier League out of nowhere, like they were the worst team and they won it. That was just never going to happen. President Trump got voted in. Brexit happened. Brexit numbers at 78, Kennedy. So we had that going on. Then you fast forward another 4 years and you hit 2020, and that's when the world changed. So all those things, 2020 has to still be corrected. All the events of that year. And it's done on a leap year, so it's 2024. We're at the beginning of it. We're into February now, but it's like something is coming, and I think the Earth is somehow going to be cleansed. But also, it seems like it will be a peaceful transition. It will be a peaceful transition of power. There might be some kind of hurdles, but even you look at the events of 2020, it's like at most it was irritating. It was an annoyance. It was like, oh, you can't do this, but there was a lot of benefits of it as well. So the scale level always seems to be higher than the actual reality. And they're a peaceful group, the White Hats, that are doing this. They want to preserve the innocent humans and get rid of the bad stuff. So they're getting rid of the bad ones. President Trump said before 2020 he's caught the swamp. So has he caught the swamp? I believe he has. So what's all the rest of this that's going on? It's lessons to teach people and to transition it. So somehow everybody's in agreement that, the world changed and we're going to go into a better future. So it's such a complex plan, but it's a beautiful plan. But we're ready. We're ready. The ones that have been seeing it for a long time, we're ready. We're eager, we're ready, and we've got to enjoy the show. And who knows who knows in a month's time where we'll be, Matt. Maybe it'll be a completely different board. Actually, I don't know. It's
a good point. I mean, we could see some big changes month to month. I mean, we're sitting here with our perception of reality. We could have a very different perception even a month from now.
We could.
Some of the events that people are talking about, I mean, who the hell knows if it's going to happen in March, April, but something big's coming, and I think everybody feels it. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, I want to know why. I don't know if you saw Nino's Corner, but Juan was in, I think it was Antarctica, right?
Yeah. Rach told me that today. Yeah. I hadn't seen that, but he's back there. He's getting a suntan in Antarctica. Yeah. I know. What's he doing out there?
I mean, he said it's the hardest place to surveil, so there's no real surveillance up there, right? It's very hard for anybody to see anything, right? I guess there's bases underground he was talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to blow he was talking about, people like John Kerry up there, which I'd heard before, Newt Gingrich. It's like you see Newt Gingrich on Fox News. It's like, this guy's coming back from probably Antarctica and then sitting on, a worldwide broadcast. It's like some weird stuff, man. Some really weird stuff going on.
Yeah. I did a show with him about a couple of years ago, and it was Matt Letitia, the awake soccer player here. Rach was on the show, and then me and Juan, and Matt asked him about Antarctica. And Juan did his kind of typical answering it, but not really answering it. But he did leave a few things. He talked about a dome. He said there's a dome there where there's kind of lush kind of environment there in Antarctica. And then he said he'd go into it again. And I've asked him a few times back nearer the time, and we've never really gone any further with it. But yeah, it's another thing that's not what it says on the tin. It's, is it the ice wall? Is it the gate to all these other worlds? President Trump said during 2020, he did a classic Trumpism, and he talked about thousands and thousands of countries. And I was like, there's not thousands of countries, There's maybe 209, I think they say officially. And I was like, is he talking about all these other regions that might break up? Are they going to go into kind of smaller regions? Like Italy's made up of all these countries, but now it's Italy. You got the Europe, but he was talking about loads more countries. I'm like, what is that? Are they other? So maybe is it a bigger world than we know? I don't know. There's all these stuff, isn't there? There's all these things, and we haven't been told the truth about hardly anything. But that's the Great Awakening. So in time, or maybe out of time, we'll find out what those things are. I think we will find out. It's just a question of when, which is a time related thing. But maybe it's out of time that we find the answers. Yeah.
Carrie Cassidy is a good one to listen to on this type of stuff. She's really interesting. I mean, I can't, verify or disprove anything she's saying, but I mean, she seems pretty confident when she talks about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You ever listen to Carrie?
I've seen bits of her, and I've met her a couple of times briefly at events, and
she's interesting.
Yeah, I saw her and Juan have quite a heated conversation in the foyer of Trump Tower. Actually, I think Trump Tower, Trump Vegas.
I think one of two things will happen with Carrie Cassidy. She's going to either look like a total genius, or she's going to look like a total mental patient. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, but I was there with Jim Caviezel and Juan, and then Kerry came over, and then Juan and Kerry had quite a chat. Yeah, who knows, man? I mean, it's a lot bigger than we thought. It's gone on longer than we thought. I do feel, though, in my bones that something major has to happen this year. There has to be some kind of shake up. They do things on, like I said, on the leap year. It's the leap year. Leap is 34 DJT. It's Kick from the Inception movies. It's Grace as well. Something's got to happen this year, and I think it's all been set up. But how they're doing it, I mean, how they're doing all of it, how they're doing, there's a silent war going on, so military operations have been going on. How are they doing that? They've got stealth technology. How are they taking out the bad players without the public knowing? I mean, it's genius, really. The whole thing is like, how on earth are they doing that at the same time, running this narrative, keeping things going? And then there's all these loops that are still not closed. They're not completed, and somehow they're going to be completed, and it will make sense for its purposes. I guess if you're in a 3D, but if you're operating at 4 or 5D or higher, you can do that. One-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. It's like they're definitely got more than one eye in the area of the blind, which is the 3D, so they can do anything. But it's ingenious and it's fascinating. It's exciting to see, and that's what keeps us going. But we're ready for it to change. Yeah.
What scares me is when you see these politicians like Jamie Raskin or any of these clowns, right? They still seem pretty confident when they're up there in front of the the microphone or on the TV channels. They still seem like pretty like why are they so confident still? I would think that they would know that they're defeated, right? So at least believe like, shit, are they going to set off a nuke? Are they going to do something crazy? I mean, could see that. I mean, a lot of nuclear material around the world. I mean, didn't a whole bunch of nukes get out of the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union fell, right? No one knows where they are.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that scares me is like, just, could be just in one area of the country. I mean, Phoenix, Arizona, I feel pretty good. I don't think anything's going to happen out here, but I mean, shit, man, if you live in LA, I'd get the hell out. I don't care. I don't care what job I had. I don't care what money I was making out there. I would get the hell out of it. If I lived in LA still, I would get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
It's the last place you'd want to be.
Yeah, it's part of one of the bellies of the beast, isn't it? I think there probably will be something close in terms of a nuclear scare event, something close, because I think time is the great teller. Hindsight's 2020, so we'll see. But there's loads of things being put out and have been for a while that they're going to push it to that extent, and even the whole thing of you had the things of Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1945. And then not long after that, you've got the Roswell incident. And people said that Roswell, it was like kind of, some say there's a bad side, but I think there's probably a good side to that as well. And it's like, maybe I've heard theories that when they saw the humans were playing with the nuclear, it's like, okay, if this is an experiment or some kind of whatever it is, we're not going to let them totally annihilate themselves. So we have to intervene. And it's like, it doesn't seem a coincidence that Roswell happened shortly, not long after, those events at the end of the Second World War. It's like, okay. And are they going to push to the nuclear you know, they're going to push it that far, which could be a large scare event. As with all of it, time will tell. But wherever we're here, whoever we are, and whoever's doing things behind the scenes that we're not privy to, but we're getting a little glimpse at, whatever the answer, whatever the big why and what it is, and that always fascinates me because I don't know what it is. And
Didn't Trump,
whatever it is, something, I think it's coming to some kind of conclusion, stroke reveal, and moving on to another phase. You know, we're going into the age of Aquarius. It's a total different reality, and I'm fascinated to see what it is. Yeah.
I mean, Trump would talk about on the campaign trail in 2015, 2016, the biggest threat is nuclear.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a near-death experience, isn't it? Imagine if the sky lights up and it's Project Bluebeam or some other version, and people think they've been nuked, and then they're like, I'm still here. And it's like, am I still here? And it's, I don't know, it's like something needs to shift.
And we know it's
shifting, but something's got to come to some conclusion, you know.
And we can to some extent verify this stuff because of what Hillary Clinton said in the WikiLeaks documents about saying, should we play the alien card?
Yeah.
Right. She said that in 2016.
Yeah.
So we know that they have some technology to make us see stuff, believe, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a scary thought.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's so weird. It's weird because the things that they use or they scare you with, there seems to be like, well, there's a counterbalance to it. So it's like, okay, you do an alien scare event, but would that be a trigger for actually real alien disclosure? You know,
right?
It's like the things I'm seeing. There's definitely stuff up in the sky, and it looks very mild and gentle. It's not scary at all. But it's not planes, and it's not satellites, and it's not drones. It's like, it looks like stars moving. It's like, well, what is that? So I don't know what they are, but I can see something. I've seen it numerous times over the last 2 years with my naked eye. I can see it, and I've seen other people that have seen it. So just that little smidgen. But prior to that, I would have had no idea. I'd be like, I don't know what that is. So there's something out there. There are other things out there. There's synchronicities out there. I've seen orbs whiz around people. I've had them. Rachel's had them. Other people I've done shows with had them. And it's like, how's that? It's like, I've seen, there's just too much. And also my own reality. It's like, there's many things that have taken place that I had no idea existed prior to 2020. I had little synchronicities, but they were very few and far between. But I was grateful for them, but then it accelerated. So there's a handful of things that I've noticed in my reality that have shifted directly and consciously, and I know them and I see them, and they keep happening constantly since 2020. So we've gone through a phase. I've gone through it, and other people, you know, millions of other people have this great awakening process. So it's like, okay, we're now in this next leap year. What phase are we going to jump into next? What other disclosure outside of what we're told on these digital devices or TV or media? Things in our own reality are shaping and telling us and teaching us truths and teaching us bigger things of the reality of the universe. And I don't know what all the realities are, but I want to know. So I'm inquisitive by nature, and I just want to keep knowing. But something like a fake alien invasion, maybe it's a precursor for real disclosure, perhaps. Because I mean, it's kind of, I can't prove it other than the things I've seen, but it makes logical sense. There's a lot bigger world out there than what we're told. So it's like, you know, what's Space Force? What's that about? You know, what is Space Force? It's like, it looks really so much like Star Trek. Star Trek was a disclosure program. It's like, so what? Scare us, you know, maybe an alien scare, but then maybe it's an opening, a doorway to the possibility and actuality of other things. I feel that's what it feels like. As with all of this, there's so many shifts and turns, but I guess we'll find out, you know.
That's it, man. All we're gonna have to do is just sit here and wait and watch.
I wait and watch, and all of life has felt like that in some ways. Wait and watch. It's like wait and watch. But I do, you know, get prepared. Get your money. Get your gold and silver. Put some of it in, because then you know you don't want to be. It could be as early as March. It could be. You know, if they're saying you can't get access to your assets, your cash, your credit cards, your debit cards for a period of time, get some real assets in, you know.
And then how are you going to even do business with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
If they cut down supply chains, you know, what if I can't ship you product? What if I can't actually get it to you? You got to come here to pick it up, which is fine. but they
Yeah.
could start making things really difficult to obtain the stuff. I mean, I'm ready. I could see, I could see my ability to sell gold and silver completely disappear. But while I'm here doing it, I'll try to spread the message. I'll try to tell people, hey, this is the right place to be, right place, right time.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think you're sitting in it for the rest of your life, but it's a great savings tool. It's where you want to be right now. It's a fundamental asset. It's in the
Yeah.
Constitution, which I think the Constitution, right? We're going to have to look back to the Constitution, right? And the Constitution specifically says our money is what? Gold and silver coin.
Yeah.
And we have to, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. And I think we have to do that, especially with our monetary system.
Exactly. And the thing about with silver, so it's a store of value. Gold and silver are stores of value, as with all the precious metals. You mentioned copper. But the other thing about it, and people know this, but do it today. Look at the four main precious metals of gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Now, gold, platinum, and palladium are all not exactly the same prices, but they're kind of up there. But you look at silver and it's way, way, way undervalued. And why is that? Well, one of the reasons is is it JP Morgan? They've been shorting it for years. So the price is deliberately kept low. When the banking system and all that goes to kaput, money's going to rush into these assets, but also the real value of silver is going to return. So you're going to get a massive rise if you've got silver. Like if you're like thinking, and silver is way cheaper. If you don't have much of a budget, call Matt up and just get some silver, because that will store your value, but it's also going to jump as soon as this crashes. When all those shorts are wiped out, the true value of silver is going to return. Be on a par at least with the other precious metals and probably go up, but it's going to be at least on a par with it. So you've made a massive increase just in that, and silver is affordable for people. What is it, like 22 bucks an ounce or something right now?
It's like 20, spot price like 22 and change.
Yeah. So it's relatively nothing. It's relatively nothing, but everybody can get that.
We're going to look back on these prices and be like, why didn't I buy more?
I know.
I don't even buy gold anymore. I mean, I own a lot of gold, but I just buy silver. Silver, yeah. It's literally all I purchase these days.
Yeah.
I think what could be an issue is just supply chain on silver. I think you can see the window to buy silver drive. And I don't say it as some false sense of urgency. I say it because, if miners out there start to say, hey, we know that the price of silver is going to skyrocket, they're not going to put out product. They're going to wait until that happens.
Yes.
Sit there and say, hey, we're not going to sell it at, 25 an ounce. We're going to wait till this stuff hits 50 or 75.
Yeah.
So there's so many these things could happen like that. So I always tell people, it's like, just get a hold of whatever it is that you can, whatever you can handle, right?
Yeah.
Take it away, nice and safe, right? Don't put a, sign on your lawn that you said you did business with Midas Gold Group, and you should be, just fine. Don't talk about it. Just hold it.
Just do it. Yeah. Keep your knickers private. What's an ounce of gold right now?
Spot price is about 2,000. Give or take.
So it's not inconceivable to say that silver at some point is going to go somewhere that with the other two precious metals. So you've got gold, silver, palladium, and platinum.
I've seen all the different theories on silver. I mean, there's a very good case that silver could, in time, surpass the price of gold.
Yeah,
because there's a lot more gold on the planet than they're admitting, right? They say there's 200. I think it's 200 metric tons of gold. There's a lot more than that. There's probably 10 times that. Yeah. But even that wouldn't necessarily affect gold price, right? Gold's a store of value. If gold are really priced based on inflation and the real factors, gold right now should be in debt, right? And all the things that, right? Because gold, in my view, the way gold should work is it should measure the dollar, right? And all the fiat currencies. They're all worthless. So realistically, gold should be, what, 100 grand an ounce? You're not going to see that. It's never, right? We're not going to see $100,000. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But if all things were factored in, but they're not, because it's the government, and the government's lying to you. They're not going to ever tell you the truth. You have to get rid of them. I think what gold and silver will be on the other side of this is, I think it'll be the difference between having money and not having money. Plain and simple. I don't think these prices matter, whether you pay $2,000 for an ounce of gold or $1,500 or $2,500. I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be a matter of, do you have it or do you not have it? Yeah.
Yeah. And when the tide goes out, people are going to see who's been swimming, skinny dipping, or have a costume on, So do you want to get caught or not? And I mean the silver one, and the other thing as well, silver apparently has got far more utility than gold. It can do so much more. It's got more. It's got just more usability in the marketplace.
Person who if your viewers want to check out somebody who's like one of the best minds on silver, in my view, that would be a guy by the name, you probably know him, Cliff High. It's Cliff with one.
Yeah.
High just really, he'll give you the technicals on the stuff. I would recommend following him in general. I mean, he's a brilliant mind, but he can really give you some. I mean, he's taught me so much about silver. It's unbelievable, and it's, you know, if you're going to get into the asset class, you probably want to know something about it.
Yeah. And call Matt up. You know, he'll give you a free coin with some uniqueness to it. And if you're in that bracket, you can't get much. Get yourself a handful of coins. And if you've got a 401k and you've got a good amount of assets, still give Matt a call and he can help you do that. Because I know there's loads of people in my audience. They're very bright. A lot of them are blessed with affluence. Not everybody is, but a lot of them are. And I know there's a lot that have been sitting on the fence. They're just not sure where to go. So, you know, you're a follower of me. You love my stuff. You're now getting to know Matt. Give him a call. Have a chat with him, you know.
Yeah, your viewers that have called in are fantastic.
Yeah,
I really appreciate, you know, whatever business they've done. I've been sending out, like I said, I'm putting together to send out right now some Kennedy memorabilia, which does include coins. And I don't go cheap on the stuff. Like, the people are getting some cool stuff, and I'm covering shipping and all that stuff. So happy to do it. Let me know what I can do.
Give him a call. What's the number again, Matt?
480-725-0536.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Do that. All right, my friend. Well, it's good catching up with you. I'll see you again in a few days. And,
I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Cool.
And join Matt's Boomerang podcast as well.
Yeah.
Links
Boomerang podcast.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I will be with Kellyanne and Juan. So we'll be talking with him.
Is he going to be out having a pina colada in Antarctica?
I hope so.
There you go. Good stuff. All right, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you.
Take care, buddy. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.